So in Season 6, Pittsburgh Knights join the league, and they pick up a super team roster. Well, it didn't work out as planned, they didn't win a world championship. So what did they do for Season 7 to mix it up? They pick up a world championship roster.
So this is an entirely different look for this Knights roster than what we had last year. That was like the Zeros adapting team. This time though, it's old SK, the defending world champions, but they don't have Sam for Soccer, the world's MVP. And that might make me think, okay, let's just pack it up, right? No way they're gonna win, but they're able to replace him with Cubo Fred, largely considered one of the best players in the world, certainly considered a top 2 jungler. Yeah, I think the Knights are gonna be just fine.
But the big thing to remember with this squad in particular is that this group of guys, yes, they got super hot and won a world championship, but they were also a 7th place team most of last year. So can they take that hot run, that high level that we know they have, and inject some consistency into that? That's gonna be the key to the game this year.
I think Zap's performances in Season 6 were something to be acclaimed, honestly. I think his performance was a lot better than what we'd seen out of him in Season 5 and 4. Now, granted, every meta is different, and you see a sort of different transition from being the focal point and the team carry versus being somebody that's a role player. But I think in Season 6, that man really found that middle ground very well. And heading to Season 7, I think you can just continue to work on that, especially because the members of the team around him are pretty much staying the same. Zap's career has been, inundated with focus and success as time's gone on. He's been a regular personality. And the fact that he just won a world championship, well, now he's at the top. And the question is, what does he do now that he's at the top? Is he going to try and hold that momentum and stay as one of the top biggest hunters in the game then? Or is it going to be more of a trickier period once we get into the Pro League?
He's that leader for the team. He's the one with all that ethos. And now he can kind of sit back a bit, let the young guns be the mechanical monsters, but that man will still play well when they need him to. We saw that from him in Season 6. He was a huge part of why they won when they made their finals push. He had a really strong performance at Worlds. I mean, I don't know how much more positive stuff I got to say about a guy with a world champ title. So yeah, I expect Zapman to look good.
Neil is one of the more creative players in the game. I think he's a great leader in-game. His decision-making is phenomenal. I know that he did a lot of that communication for that SK team last year, and they won a world championship, so his leadership quality is certainly there. I think that Neil is poised to take the step from good SPL support to one of the great SPL supports, not just in the league this year, but that have played in the league in years past. I think Season 7 is going to be huge for Neil Mott.
That World's performance is just one thing. Can that same performance happen from Neil across another year again? That's what we're really gonna need from him, is to see that same level that we saw from placements, that we saw during the Worlds run, stretch that out over the entire year. Because I still think that, maybe not always invading, but aggressive supports, flexible supports, that's gonna be really critical, and that's one of Neil's strengths. So they're gonna need him to play at that high level that we absolutely know he's capable of on a really consistent level, and I think Neil can do that. He's one of the guys that has it for you outside of the game and inside the game, and he should do that here.
Look at Paul, he's coming around the back, he's doing so much damage.
Paul is one that, I don't know, I mean, if you would have told me before last season that SK was gonna win Worlds, my reaction would have been, oh man, Paul must have continued his meteoric rise and absolutely dominated everybody, taking Uller mid every game, jumping in, killing people by himself. And that happened, but it took some time. Paul had a little bit of a slower start, and maybe that was the meta. Maybe that was just the way that SK team played. They wanted to play a little bit more around Zap at times. But I think this PK team is gonna really need Paul to be the dude.
I think we need to get Paul back to the way that Paul plays best, because when he's on his A game, he's one of the best mid laners in this league, period. You'll look up at 7 minutes from your keyboard and you're like, oh, why are we down 4,000, 5,000 gold already? It's because Paul stole 2 reds, your backs, and killed your mid laner already.
Heading into season 7, I think Paul's going to see a bit more of a transition here. There might be a little bit more freedom in this mid lane for 1v1 fights and a bit of outplay potential. And that's something that Paul really thrives and does well in, is finding those moments to find a solo kill or a turnaround play that could really change the difference of a game. Keep an eye out for Paul this year.
Cubo Fred right behind the ultimate, and he's gonna put him down.
Man, Cubo Fred's he's just damn good at the game, isn't he? I mean, he's one of the best players that we have, period. One of the best junglers, yes. That's a secondary conversation to me. Just one of the most impactful players across his career that we've ever had. There is something to be said, though, for it feels like he always comes up a bit short right when it comes to the big tournaments. I don't just mean Worlds, I mean lands in general. It feels like, he and Trixtank kind of had some struggles when they got to those moments. But now he's without Trixtank. Cubo Fred's kind of forging his own legacy, it feels like, this year. Replacing a Worlds MVP on a World Championship roster is never an easy task. But if there's anybody I think that can rise up to that level, it's Cubo Fred. I mean, I don't even know what you want me to say. He's good at every stage of the game, early, mid, late. He's one of the best you could possibly ask for. His God pool is expansive. If you go over to the Assassin tab, Cubo Fred plays it, and he plays it better than you. You go, just about anywhere that you go, you know that this guy's going to be able to play exactly what you need from him, and even what you didn't know you need, right? Cubo Fred's ahead of the curve sometimes, too. I just can't say enough positive stuff about what this guy can do. Obviously, the expectations for him this year are sky high, but he can meet those expectations.
I think that Cubo is going to be a true superstar on this team. I think that he's going to continue to cement himself as one of the best in the entire league. I don't know, man. Dude's a beast.
Oh! Doesn't give him the shield! Oh, Air finds the execute! Set him down!
Solo laner for PK. Scary D. No, wait. Bel Air. No, wait. It is actually Scary D. Besides the decision making on changing the name before winning a world championship, then winning worlds, and then immediately changing your name after that, I've got nothing else bad to say about Scary D. I mean, look, the consistency probably needs a little bit of work, sure, but I think that was a problem that plagued all of SK last year. The fact of the matter is, when you have to put up or shut up, when it's time to win a LAN, Scary D is one of the best.
With the meta shift in Season 6 to being focused away from the solo lane, Scary D, I feel like, lost a bit of his ability to influence the game as the game continued. I think maybe with Season 7, though, we could see a bit more of a swing back towards some focus on the solo lane. And if we do, Scary D is one of the sort of players you're looking to empower there and maybe help to create a lead.
He's certainly a top-tier player. I know that he can come in and play at a high level. We all saw it happen when they won Worlds, but there's a lot of variance there. If he can kind of condense that a little bit, show us he can be more consistent, then I think Scary D can be a really strong player. It's just a question of if he can get to that level, maybe the name change will help out.
Now that you see the Pittsburgh Knights roster, you can see they really want to win a world title and they're trying to invest everything they can to pick up the best players possible. Heading into the new season, the biggest thing for this team, the biggest test, is how Cubo Fred meshes with the rest of the team. How does the synergy and communication end up working out? Sam Fasaka being in the jungle there previously, he would have had one style to him, and it's going to be how the communication behind the scenes really works out there, and whether they give it any sort of EU spice, knowing that they're going to have Cubo Fred, give it a bit of a different take to what this roster has had previously in their positions.
I feel like it's really easy to overhype this Knights team because of the defending world champion. You gotta remember, they were 7th place all of Season 6, like consistently hard stuck 7th place, where they would stomp 10th, 9th, and 8th, and they were competitive up against 1 through 6, but they weren't consistently beating out those teams, and that's why they ended up being, that 6th place, 7th place team throughout the entirety of that year. It was a pretty clear divide, but if you really want to be a consistently good team, you got to be able to kind of shed that baggage that you're taking of being that 6th and 7th place team from last year. I think they have a really good chance to do it. Hard to believe that you could drop Sam Fasaka and maybe even be better, but I think Cubo Fred's just that good that this team actually might be in a better spot. Factor in that Paul might be in shape to return to form. We might see the best Scary D that we've ever seen. And I think this team can make some noise, but if I'm being honest, I do expect them to be a middle of the pack team again, somewhere around 5th or 6th place, something like that. But hopefully they come out and prove me wrong.
I said consistency for basically every one of these players, and I do think that that's the critical point for this PK roster. But let's call a spade, man. Do you think PK is going to care that much, the org, if this team finishes 5th place and then wins Worlds? Probably not. I don't think it's a great strategy to save it all in the tank, keep it in the bank until it's time for the World Championships to roll around. I don't think that it is as easy as flipping the switch, but SK certainly did it last year. Why can't they do it this year?